Salvador was the first film in what I'm going to call Oliver Stone's Golden Age, which was basically a period of 9 years where he released 10 well-made films, some of which are among the best films I've ever seen. To my mind, Salvador is the first film Oliver Stone made that can truly be called great. Hell, I'd go further than that. I'd say it's a masterpiece that no other director, to my mind, could have pulled off in the same way. Salvador is a piercing, wild-eyed look into the civil war in El Salvador that the United States was exploiting. The Civil War led to thousands upon thousands of people killed not just by the government's death squads, but also the left-wing rebels who turned out to be just as willing to kill for their cause as the death squads were. If anyone knows anything about the production history of this film, you'll know that it was almost as turbulent as what happens in the film. Stone clashed with actors, production crew, financiers, and at one point it got so bad that James Woods, the lead actor in the film, tried to hitchhike back to the States. Convinced that Salvador was going to be his last film, Oliver Stone put everything he had into it. Thankfully, he was able to make movies after this, but the intense, unpredictable energy surging through the film's production ended up making Salvador so much more memorable. So let's talk about the movie's plot. Based on the exploits of journalist Rick Boyle, Salvador follows the main character, Richard Boyle, as he travels to El Salvador for a story to sell. This is the kind of character James Woods was born to play. A slick, fast-talking con man who always seems to have the sword of Damocles hanging over his head. After a series of setbacks in his life, he recruits his drug-guzzling buddy, Dr. Rock, played by Jim Belushi. The image of them shooting down the road in a red car might make some people think of Hunter S. Thompson, and you wouldn't be wrong. Salvador goes for that same gonzo journalism feel throughout the movie, and we also get harsh imagery dealing with the horrific effects of the Civil War. Boyle converses with American officials who know him from past experiences, and he flirts with an old friend named Kathy, who is one of the few American characters in the film that isn't in El Salvador for selfish reasons. Boyle also hooks up with Maria, a young woman in El Salvador who he's known in the past. Naturally, their relationship is really turbulent amidst all the chaos, as Boyle wants to find a way to get her and her family out of this hellhole. But of course, the need for a news story always beckons, and we meet John Savage as a young, aspiring photographer who's looking for the shot that'll make him famous. He and Boyle follow the movements of the war in between Boyle's personal life getting in the way. Boyle is a really hard character to like. He's a selfish bastard that manipulates people constantly. However, as the events play out, Boyle slowly starts to realize that he wants to help people for once, even as more and more atrocities are committed. He viciously denounces such characters as the extremely conservative U.S. Army Colonel, Bentley Hyde, and in one very poignant scene, he defends his views while attacking the anti-communist fever that is leading to needless violence. And then, in yet another poignant scene, Boyle discovers to his disgust that the communists are just as prepared to kill and are just as violent as the people they say they're better than. Salvador is a hell of a film to watch. It dared to show the devastating results of the El Salvador conflict, including the infamous murder of Archbishop Oscar Romero. And it shows us these events through the wild eyes of a morally questionable man looking for a thrilling story. James Woods shines in perhaps his greatest performance, guided by the daring figure of Oliver Stone throwing us in the middle of all this violence and cruelty. It's definitely worth checking out if you haven't already seen it.